Have you ever wondered what is the point of this thing called life? And have you ever wondered what it would be like to be that better kind of mom or that better kind of dad or better grandparent? Well, part of that wondering process is the awareness that we have of life. My first journey into being aware of myself as a human being and this thing called life was in a personal development workshop that I did in 2003 with a guy called Christopher Nevill. He runs the Foundation SA organization and runs personal development courses called Harlequin and Chalice. In those courses, I became powerfully aware of who I am as a human being and this thing called life that I'm living, and gave me deep insight into what I'm doing about it. Later on this afternoon, I'm actually going to be talking to him to find out what his views are on parenting, and specifically around the role of awareness in parenting, the role of techniques and skills in parenting, and the role of being in action as a parent. So, Christopher, I did my Harlequin in 2003. And
I remember it well.
And there were two main deep awarenesses that I took out of it that impacted me. The first one was this concept of trying. If you remember at that point in time, I was trying to open up a school, and I realized the huge distinction between trying to do something and doing something, just an absolute clarity. And for me, that shifted, instead of trying to open the school, just saying, right, I'm opening it and doing it. So that was the first thing that really impacted me. The second one was through our conversations, which can be quite pressing and pushing. I really got this distinction that I am a complainer in my life. In other words, I complain about a lot of things not working the way I want them to work. And what I think I got most in the awareness of Harlequin was that I'm creating my experience of my life, and it's because of that creation that I'm complaining again. So actually, it's me who's responsible for creating the life that the way it's happening. And I'm therefore responsible for that, and I can't complain that someone else out there is not doing what they need to do what I'm actually needing to do in the first place, which is standing being responsible. So those are the two things that I took out of Harlequin, which really impacted me hugely in my levels of awareness of who I am and what I'm doing. And then, of course, I went further on to that to Chalice and to do Vista as well, which was fantastic. Our journeys met again when you explore deeper this role of schooling and, of course, then in parenting. And what I'd like to ask you is, taking the insights that you've got hugely from the Harlequin process, Chalice, Vista, in the realm of parenting, what is the role of awareness in the role of parenting?
Yes, of course, that's one of these questions that could occupy us for the next 4 days.
Sure.
In reality.
Yep.
But let's see if we can chop it up into pieces. But first of all, I think I'd like to talk in general terms about awareness and what it means. For me, and it has become a cornerstone of the work that I do, that's where everything starts. The operative word being starts. It's not the be-all and the end-all, but if you have no awareness of what is going on, then how on earth can you possibly move to any other place other than the one in which you find yourself at that moment in time? Of course, if you are content with the place that you find yourself, well, then there's no need to move. So then you can revel in that age-old saying of ignorance is bliss. Mm-hmm. If you're not aware, then truly I have no difficulty with the fact that you live in a kind of state of bliss. And of course, that's the devil of awareness. And maybe that is why the root word of awareness is shared with words like wary, beware, and so on and so forth. This is tiptoe stuff. So it's not to be engaged upon lightly, that once you open this can of worms, this Pandora's box, all sorts of other things can flow, because now you can't duck it. However, having said all that, I'm not sure that to live a life in unawareness is frankly worth living. Now, when one undertakes the incredibly difficult, challenging, marvelous, painful, beautiful, ugly, extraordinary role of inviting another being into your life and saying to them, not implicitly, but most directly, come join me, and I will teach you everything that I know. I will, not only that, I will guide you to the achievement of your own goal. You don't belong to me, although I speak loosely of you as my child, but you don't belong to me. If I do not have a very heightened and intense awareness of what I am going to do and what the task that I'm undertaking, everybody's in trouble. And frankly, we're seeing that today. We are seeing that parents are in trouble, children are in trouble, not because we're stupid, we're not, but nobody's hammered us with this, and hammered is the right word, hammered us with this stick of awareness. Be aware of what you're doing. This is a dangerous business. Tread carefully. And of course, that's what I teach. That's where it starts, and that is what I seek to inculcate.
So great there. So, I mean, absolute agreement. The foundation is for us to have awareness, because without awareness, we're not even going to know who we are or where we are, which means if we want to be better than what we currently are, how are we going to do that if we don't have awareness? Correct. Right? So fantastic.
That's where it starts.
Correct. So let's say now that we've got a lot of awareness. So a lot of the people who've done your work, I mean, that's what you said. You've hammered them with the stick of awareness. I mean, Harlequin, Chalice, those experiences deeply open someone's eyes to the way they're living, and people start to realize, hang on, this isn't the life that I want. I'm now aware, as you said, sometimes quite teary and wary of it. And now they're saying, well, where to from here? And, well, what can I do to make the difference? So let's take a look at, we've got the awareness. What would you then say is the role of skills, like everyday skills that we're using as human beings, and specifically in the realm of parenting? What is that realm of skill sets in the role of being a parent? And I'm referring to skills as, engaging cooperation, how to discipline a child. You've invited this child in, you want to create an experience for them of living, which is really powerful, and giving them tools that are going to really support them in being successful and effective. So where does the role of skills fit into that role?
Well, again, I think we can go back to basics. There is that wonderful word that we bandy around a lot these days called education. And it's a habit of mine, and it's a trick that it's a game I like to play, to go back to basics and what does this word actually mean. Well, it comes from the Latin, of course, educare, which means, loosely translated, to call forth, to bring out, which is why I tend to talk about human development rather than human growth, because I rather like the analogy with photography, where in photography what you're bringing out of the negative is what is already there. And so it was with the child, that you need to do this. Now, this requires technique. This requires a very highly developed, in fact, level of skill. So awareness in itself, fantastic. It's the platform on which you stand. But by itself, not much use. So now you're aware. Well, hallelujah for you. So now you know what's going on. Well, hallelujah for you. But unless you've learnt some tricks, techniques, sure. The two words are they share the same etymology. Unless you have some tricks at your disposal, some techniques at your disposal, how on earth are you now going to call forth that which is latent in the child? And then, not only that, teach it. And that is purely technique-based. And sometimes you have to involve yourself in some profoundly manipulative techniques, tricks, to get that child to move.
Like magic.
Same word, of course. Yep. Same word. Same stuff. And one of my favorite phrases, we are the master magicians of the universe. And one of the things that magicians use all the time are tricks, techniques, to get us to see something different and to move from where we are to another place. So, awareness without technique, useless. Technique without awareness, equally useless. These are, they go hand in hand.
So, I'm wanting to really hammer down this concept you're referring to, which is without awareness, well, it's pretty useful. With awareness on its own, that's not going to help much. Just technique on its own is not going to help much because you're not aware of what you can do differently.
Well, it's what we're seeing in the world today. Lots of technique out there. Our teachers are trained. They spend years in technique, ranging from how to draw on the chalkboard through to how to teach and so on and so forth, but with absolutely no awareness of what they're actually dealing with.
And one of the exercises that we did in the Harlequin, which I think is really profound, in the matchstick game is we can have awareness, we can have technique, but if we don't do anything with awareness and technique, nothing happens. So what for you is the realm of taking action or being in action in the role of parenting?
Well, I think it is relationship, because that's essentially what parenting is to establish a viable relationship, doing something. And relationship is a doing word. I need to relate to you, and you need to relate for me. That calls for action. I'm not allowed to just sit there and do nothing. I'm going to have to get up, get on my feet, and do something with my awareness, work with it hard, cultivate it, and do something with the techniques I've learned. And out of that, we can create something. So this is and create in itself is another action word.
Yep. So, I mean, that's where that lovely saying, if we keep doing what we've always done, we're going to keep getting what we've always got, right?
Yes.
And at some point, if we're wanting to get a different result, we have to do something
Absolutely.
differently to get the different result.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. So, any advice or suggestions to anyone out there on how to be a better parent?
Well, that's where I admire your work. And that's where I see your work and my work dovetailing. You have referred to me before as the awareness guru. Very flattering, but I quite like it, so that's okay. A bit of flattery every now and again never hurts. Helps
Sure.
the wheel go around. But I'll pay the same compliment to you. In my opinion, in my experience of you, you are very much the technique guru. And you have evolved, and I have sat in front of you, some extraordinarily valuable techniques that take the awareness, apply a technique, and then out of that create a viable relationship between the parent and the child. An arena where the child can be the child and start to develop, not grow, develop, and where the parent can actually start to perhaps enjoy this. Again, a doing word, enjoy, enable. Enjoy this magnificent, humbling, frustrating process of having a being that has come to you and said, teach me. Teach me.
And perhaps then just to finish on that, in my experience of the last years, many years, last decade actually, specifically after I've done Harlequin, the kinds of parents that I really relate to and who really seem to take the techniques and the skills and the magic and those techniques that I'm creating, developing, and really create fantastic results are the ones who have gone through your courses and your work, because they have that awareness, they have that openness to do something different. And I really acknowledge that you've provided a fantastic foundation onto which I can add to and develop and evolve the work further.
You notice I'm preening my
Yeah.
fingers. Here we go.
Excellent.
Yes, I think that's true. As I said, without awareness, not much point.
Yep.
Without technique, not much point. And it's out of that's two legs of the stool, and the third leg is the relationship, which comes out of
Brings it all together.
Brings it all
Excellent.
together.
Great. Thank
And
you.
I look forward to continued association with you. There's work to be done, my friend.
Yep.
So let's get busy.
Definitely. Great. Thank
Thank
you.
you.